The courtroom was silent. Hundreds of eyes stared at the man standing in chains. He was tall, strong, and human, but now his strength meant nothing. He had broken a rule that no one was supposed to break. The rulers of the colony called him a traitor. They said he was arrogant, reckless, and dangerous. The people expected death. Execution was normal for such crimes, but today, the rulers had something else in mind. The leader stood up, his long robe shining under the lights. He raised his hand and said, "Death would be too easy for him. We will give him a punishment worse than death." The crowd began to whisper. Everyone wanted to know what punishment could be worse. Then the guards dragged something into the room. It was a cage, and inside the cage was a creature. The creature was tall, thin, and covered in strange scars. Her skin was greenish-gray, her eyes glowing, yellow, and her smell was strong, rotten, and heavy. People held their noses, some even laughed. She was an alien slave bought in the black markets for only $5. The leader pointed at her and said, "We will marry him to this stinking alien slave. Let him spend his life with her. Let him rot with her." The crowd gasped. Then laughter filled the hall. They thought this was a perfect punishment. The proud human soldier, now tied to a filthy slave. The man clenched his fists, his face red with anger, but he could not fight back. His chains held him down. The guards dragged him closer to the cage. The alien stared at him without emotion. Her glowing eyes were empty, or maybe hiding something. The crowd shouted, "Do it! Marry him! Punish him!" The ceremony was quick and cruel. They forced the man and the alien to stand together, a machine. Recorded their vows without love, without choice. The crowd cheered as the leader declared them husband and wife. But the man felt like his life was over. He was humiliated, broken, and disgusted. The guards released his chains, pushed him toward the alien, and opened the cage. "Go," the leader said. "Live with your new wife." The alien stepped out slowly. Her smell made people cover their mouths again. She walked beside the man, quiet and calm. The guards pushed them toward the exit. The man whispered to himself, "This is not marriage. This is torture." They were taken to a small broken house at the edge of the colony. The roof was cracked, the walls were weak, and the air smelled of dust and mold. The guards locked the door from outside. The punishment had begun inside the house. Silence grew heavy. The man sat in the corner, his arms crossed, his eyes sharp with hate. The alien sat on the floor across from him, still silent, still watching. Her eyes glowed faintly in the dark. The man could not relax. He thought, "If she attacks me in the night, no one will hear my screams." He tried to stay awake, but his body was weak after days in chains. The alien did not move, only breathed slowly, her chest rising and falling like a calm wave. The man wondered, why is she not speaking? Why is she not attacking? What does she want? Outside, people celebrated. They thought the punishment was entertainment. They believed the man would go mad within days, trapped with a disgusting alien. But inside the house, something else was happening. The man looked at her again. She did not look like a monster now. Her scars seemed like marks of suffering, not violence. Her glowing eyes looked tired, not evil. Still, the smell was strong, filling the room like poison. The man covered his nose with his shirt, shaking his head. He whispered, "I will never forgive them for this." The alien finally moved. She raised her head, her voice low and broken. "Human," she said slowly, as if learning the word. The man froze. He did not expect her to speak. Her voice was soft, almost sad. He asked, "What do you want?" She did not answer, only lowered her head again. The man felt a strange shiver in his chest. This was not what he expected. She was not violent, not angry, not cruel. She was silent, calm, and almost lonely. The night grew darker. The man sat awake, his eyes on the strange woman forced to be his wife. The punishment was supposed to break him, but deep inside, he began to feel something else. Not love, not yet, but a question. Who is she really? And why did her glowing eyes look like they were hiding a story too big for this broken house? The small house was silent. The guards had locked the heavy door from outside, leaving the man and the alien inside with no escape. The man sat in the corner, his eyes sharp, his muscles tense. He was trained for war, but this was not a battlefield. This was worse. This was a cage where his enemy was also his wife. The alien woman sat on the floor across from him, her back against the wall, her eyes glowing faintly in the darkness. She said nothing, only watched. Her breathing was slow, steady, like someone who had nothing to lose. The smell in the air was thick and rotten. The man covered his nose again, angry at the rulers for throwing him into this hell. He whispered under his breath, "This is not a punishment. This is madness." But madness or not, he had to survive. He thought, "If she tries to kill me tonight, I must be ready." The hours passed slowly. The moonlight slipped through a broken window, shining on the alien's scars. The man studied her closely, searching for weakness. Her long fingers curled around her knees, her body still like a statue. She did not sleep. She did not blink. It was as if she was waiting. The man could hear his own heart beating, heavy and loud. In the silence, he reached for a broken piece of wood lying on the floor, gripping it like a weapon. If she moved suddenly, he would strike, but she did not move. She only stared. The man hated the silence more than the smell. It was the silence of danger. It was the silence before an attack. Finally, he broke it, his voice low but firm. "Why are you staring at me?" The alien tilted her head slightly, her glowing eyes narrowing, but she gave no answer. The man's grip on the wood tightened, sweat forming on his forehead. He whispered, "Say something." Then, slowly, the alien spoke. Her voice cracked and strange. "Fear." The man froze. He whispered back, "What?" She lowered her head, her voice shaking. "You fear me?" The man did not reply. She was right, even if he tried to hide it, even if he acted strong. She could see it. He took a deep breath, forcing his voice to sound calm. "You are wrong. I don't fear you." But the alien lifted her eyes again, glowing brighter in the moonlight. "Yes, you do." Her voice was not threatening. It was almost sad. The man felt a chill run through his spine. How could she see inside him so easily? He asked, "Why are you not sleeping? Why are you not attacking?" The alien lowered her gaze again, whispering, "Because I know fear too." The man blinked, confused. He expected violence. He expected hate. But instead, he heard weakness. An alien slave sold for $5 looked more broken than dangerous. Still, he did not trust her. Not yet. He stayed awake, watching her every move. But she stayed still, breathing slowly, quietly, as if she was in pain only she could feel. Hours passed. The night grew colder. The man's body grew heavy. His eyes wanted to close, but he forced himself to stay awake. Every creak of the old house made him flinch. Every shadow on the wall looked like danger. The alien did not move, but her glowing eyes followed him whenever he shifted. At last she whispered again, "Human." Her voice was weak, but clear. The man answered cautiously, "What do you want?" She leaned her head against the wall, her voice fading. "Not want. Remember." The man frowned. "Remember what?" But she closed her eyes and said nothing more. The silence returned, heavy and cold. The man sat in the corner, gripping his wooden stick, trying to fight sleep. He wondered, what memories does she carry? What is she hiding? He wanted to ask, but fear kept him quiet. Outside, the wind howled through the broken streets of the colony. The house shook, the cracked roof groaning under the night air. The alien did not move, her chest rising and falling. Slowly, the man thought she was asleep, but when he shifted his weight, her eyes opened again, glowing like fireflies in the dark. He cursed under his breath. Damn it, she doesn't sleep at all. The night stretched on, endless and cruel. The man's mind filled with questions. Was this alien truly harmless, or was she waiting for the right moment to strike? Was this punishment only about humiliation, or was it something darker? His heart pounded louder as his eyes grew heavy. At last, against his will, his body gave in. His head dropped, his eyes closed. sleep pulling him into its trap, before darkness swallowed him. He caught one last glimpse. The alien was still watching him, silent, glowing eyes fixed on his face. She did not move, but a strange expression crossed her lips. Not anger, not hate, but something else, something like sorrow. The man fell into uneasy sleep, and the alien whispered words too soft for him to hear, words that carried secrets of a past he could never imagine, secrets that would turn this punishment into something far more dangerous. The first night of fear had only just begun. The morning came slowly. A thin light entered through the cracks of the broken roof, falling across the man's face. He woke with a sharp breath, his hand still gripping the wooden stick he had used as a weapon. For a moment he thought the alien was gone, but then he saw her sitting in the same place, eyes open, staring at him. She had not moved the entire night. Her glowing yellow eyes looked tired now, yet calm. The man pushed himself up and said in a low voice, "You watched me all night." The alien gave no answer, only blinked slowly. The smell of her body was still heavy in the air, rotten and sour, and the man covered his nose with his sleeve. Anger burned in him again. He shouted, "Why do you not speak? Why do you stay silent like a ghost?" The alien tilted her head, her cracked lips opening at last. "Because words are dangerous," she whispered. The man froze. Her voice was soft, almost like a secret carried by the wind. He lowered his weapon, but kept distance. Dangerous for who? She looked away, her glowing eyes fading in the light. For me, and for you. The man felt a strange shiver. He had expected a monster, a beast. But now he saw something different. There was pain in her voice, pain deeper than chains and punishment. He asked again, softer this time, "Who are you really?" The alien drew a line in the dust with her finger, her hand trembling. "I was not always a slave," she said. "I was not always sold for $5. Her words made the man lean forward, curiosity pushing past his fear. She continued, "My people had kingdoms, stars, and power, but enemies took it away." Her voice cracked as she spoke. "They hunted us, sold us, broke us, turned us into property." The man's eyes narrowed. "Then why bring you here? Why, marry you to me?" She looked at him now, her glowing eyes sharp again. "Because they fear me." The man tightened his grip on the stick. "Fear you? You look weak." Her lips curled into something like a smile, a bitter smile. "Weak? No, human. I am not weak. I am hidden." The man's chest tightened. He remembered her strange calm during the night, her silence, her sorrow. He wondered what kind of secret power she carried. Before he could speak again, the alien leaned closer, her voice shaking. "They will come for me and for you because now you are tied to me. Your punishment is more than marriage. It is war." The man stepped back, confused and angry. "You are lying. This is a trick." But the alien shook her head. "No trick, no lie. I carry something inside me, something the rulers cannot control. That is why they threw me to you. They think together we will destroy each other, but they do not understand." The man asked, "Understand what?" She looked straight into his eyes, her voice now firm. "That survival is stronger than punishment." The man's heart pounded. For the first time since his punishment began, he felt something other than fear or hate. He felt the weight of a mystery larger than himself. The alien leaned back again, pulling her knees close to her chest, silent once more. The man sat down across from her, his mind racing. He remembered the laughter of the crowd, the words of the leader, the humiliation he suffered. Now he wondered if his punishment was not meant to shame him, but to bury a secret no one else was supposed to see. Outside, the colony was loud with work, machines clanking, voices shouting, life continuing as normal. But inside the broken house, two strangers sat facing each other, trapped by law but bound by something heavier. The man asked slowly, "What is inside you? What do you hide?" The alien closed her eyes, her voice faint. "A memory, a power, a seed of my people. If I die, it dies too. If I live, It may rise again. The man swallowed hard. This was no ordinary slave, no worthless alien sold in the market. She was something rare, something dangerous, maybe something royal, and now she was his wife. He whispered to himself. What have they done to me? The alien opened her eyes again, glowing bright in the shadow of the house. What they have done, she said, is bind your fate to mine. The man looked at her, his anger fading into a storm of questions. Fear was still in his heart, but now it mixed with curiosity. Who was this alien woman, really? Why did the rulers fear her? And what kind of war was sleeping inside her broken body? The night before had been filled with silence and fear, but now the day carried a new danger, the danger of secrets too heavy for one man to hold. As the alien lowered her head again, the man realized something. This punishment was not the end of his story. It was only the beginning. Days passed slowly inside the broken house. The man and the alien wife lived in silence, their lives bound by punishment, but their eyes always watching each other. The man tried to ignore her, but her glowing eyes, her scars, and her strange words from before kept burning in his mind. She had said the rulers feared her. She had said she carried something powerful inside her. He wanted to believe she was lying, but something in her calm, something in her sorrow, made him doubt his own anger. Outside, the colony whispered. People laughed about the man's shame. They called him weak, cursed, married to a stinking alien no one wanted. But not everyone laughed. Some people watched in secret, eyes filled with envy, curiosity, and hate. In the dark corners of the colony, small groups began to speak. They said, "Why is the alien not dead? Why is she allowed to live with him? Why does she still breathe when she could be sold again?" They were not just ordinary people, they were smugglers, hunters, and broken soldiers. They had seen her glowing eyes, they had smelled her stench, and they had heard whispers of her strange blood. Some believed her body could be sold for more than $5 sold to scientists or kings or warlords who wanted alien secrets. Others believed she was cursed, and her curse would spread to the whole colony if she stayed alive. And so, enemies began to grow in the shadows. One night, as the man sat near the cracked window staring at the sky, he felt the air change. The house was too quiet, the streets outside too empty. He gripped his stick tighter, his soldier's instincts waking up. The alien was sitting in the corner as, always her eyes glowing faintly, she looked at him and said softly, "They come." The man frowned. "Who?" Before she could answer, the door shook. A shadow moved outside, then another. The man jumped to his feet, his heart pounding. The wooden door cracked as heavy blows struck it. Voices whispered in the dark. "Kill her, burn the house, end the curse." The man cursed under his breath, pushing a chair against the door. The alien stood slowly, her body straight, her eyes glowing brighter than ever. The man shouted at her, "Stay back, they want you, they will kill you." But she shook her head. "They cannot." The door burst open, splinters flying across the room. 3 men rushed in, faces covered, knives and broken pipes in their hands. The man swung his stick, striking the first one across the face, blood spraying. Another rushed at the alien, but before he could touch her, she raised her hand. The air seemed to freeze. The attacker stumbled back as if pushed by an invisible force. The man's eyes widened. He had never seen anything like it. The alien's glowing eyes burned like fire in the dark, her scars shining faintly. She did not move again, but the attackers trembled, their weapons shaking in their hands. The man shouted, his soldier's voice booming, "Get out, or you die." Here, the intruders hesitated, their courage broken by fear they could not understand. One by one, they fled into the night, their footsteps fading into silence. The door hung broken, the house filled with dust and blood. The man stood breathing, hard sweat dripping from his face. He turned to the alien, his voice sharp. "What did you do?" She lowered her head, her voice soft. "I warned you they fear me, and now you see why." The man's hand shook as he dropped the stick. His punishment had turned into a battlefield, and his wife was not just a slave. She was something else, something powerful, something dangerous. Outside, the whispers grew louder. The attackers carried their fear back into the colony. They spoke of glowing eyes, of strange force, of power hidden in the alien's body, now more. People wanted her dead, and others wanted her captured. The rulers smiled in silence, watching from their high towers. Their plan was working. The man and the alien were no longer just a punishment. They were becoming a storm. Inside the broken house, the man sat on the floor, his hands in his hair, his mind racing. He had fought wars before, but this war was different. This war was inside his own home. He looked at the alien again, her glowing eyes softer now, filled with something strange, almost human. He whispered, "Why did you protect me?" She looked away, her voice quiet. "Because your fate is tied to mine. If you die, I die too." The man wanted to argue, wanted to push her away, but deep inside he knew something larger than punishment was unfolding. Enemies in the shadows would not stop, and every night from now on would bring more fear, more blood, more secrets. The man clenched his fists, staring at the broken door. He whispered to himself, "This is no punishment anymore. This is war." The broken door was fixed with old wood and metal scraps, but the house no longer felt safe. The man kept his weapon close at all times, sleeping with one eye open, waiting for the next attack. The alien wife remained silent most days, sitting in the corner, watching, breathing, glowing faintly, but something had changed after the night of blood, after the shadows fled. The man could no longer pretend she was just a slave. He had seen her power. He had seen how she pushed men back without touching them, and how her eyes burned with something more than fear. He did not understand her, and yet he could not ignore her anymore. One evening, as the sun bled across the cracked sky, the man sat by the window sharpening his broken stick. He looked at her and said quietly, "Why save me?" The alien lifted her head, her voice low. "Because we are bound. If they kill you, I die too." The man frowned. "That is not true. They only want you dead. I was just in the way." She shook her head, her scars catching the red light. "No, they see us as one now. Punishment has tied us together." The man clenched his jaw, his anger mixing with something else, something heavier. He asked again, "Who are you really?" This time she did not hide. Her voice was weak but steady. "I was born among stars. My people ruled skies, my family led kingdoms, but enemies destroyed everything. They killed most of us. They sold the rest. I was taken, broken, sold like meat. But inside me, my blood still carries their fire." The man sat in silence, the sound of the whetstone scratching against wood filling the room. Her words carried weight. They were not the words of a slave, but of someone who had lost everything. The man finally whispered, "So you are not worthless. You are not what they say." The alien's glowing eyes softened for the first time. "No one is worthless, not even a slave." The word struck him like a blade. He had once thought the same, back when he fought for the colony, back when he believed in honor. But now he was broken too. Punished, chained, humiliated, thrown into this rotten house with her. He looked at her scars again, but now they did not look ugly. They looked like marks of survival. The days passed, and the silence between them began to change. The man started speaking more, telling small pieces of his story, how he had been a soldier, how he had broken the ruler's law, how the punishment was meant to destroy him. The alien listened, always quiet, but her eyes followed his every word. One night, when the man cut his hand on a piece of broken glass, he cursed loudly, blood dripping down his palm. The alien moved, suddenly faster than he expected. She reached out, her long fingers touching his hand. The man pulled back, but her grip was firm. A strange warmth spread from her touch. The pain in his hand faded. The blood slowed. The wound closed before his eyes. The man stared in shock, his mouth dry. "What did you do?" The alien lowered her head, her voice soft. "I healed. It is my gift, my curse. It is why they fear me. It is why they want me dead." The man's heart pounded. He had seen death. He had seen wounds fester, but never had he seen blood vanish. So quickly, he whispered, "You carry power into, and you hide it under scars and smell." She nodded slowly. "The stench protects me. It keeps enemies away. It hides the truth. But you You stayed even with it, you looked deeper. The man did not answer, but inside something cracked, his hatred, his disgust, his shame. They were no longer so heavy. Instead, a small spark of respect began to burn. The alien moved back to her, corner silent again, but the man's eyes kept returning to her. He wondered how much of her story was still hidden, how much more she carried inside. Outside, whispers continued to grow. The colony spoke of glowing eyes and strange powers, enemies. In the shadows were sharpening their blades again, but inside the broken house a different battle was happening. The battle of trust, of fear, of two broken souls trying to survive punishment together. The man sat near her one night, closer than before, his voice low. They will come again. They will not stop if we are bound, then we must fight together. The alien looked at him, her eyes glowing brighter. Her scars catching the fire of the lantern, she whispered, "Together." For the first time, the man did not see her as a slave, or a monster, or a punishment. He saw her as a survivor, a partner, someone who had suffered as he had suffered, and, in that broken house, surrounded by fear and enemies, a hidden bond was born. Not of love yet, but of something stronger than hate, a bond that could turn punishment into destiny. The colony was restless. Whispers spread like fire in dry grass. People spoke of the alien wife with glowing eyes, of her power to heal and push men without touching them. They said the man was cursed, that he had married not a slave but a weapon. Some feared her, others wanted to own her. But the rulers knew the truth. From their high towers they watched closely, their faces hidden behind masks of stone. They had planned this punishment to break a soldier's pride. But now the punishment had become something dangerous. The alien had shown her power, and the man had stood beside her instead of killing her. That was unacceptable. The rulers gathered in secret, their voices sharp, their decision cruel. She must die, one said. She must vanish before her secret grows. Another added, and the man, he is bound to her now. The leader raised his hand, his voice final. Then they will die together. Let the crowd see their end. Let their ashes be our warning. Orders spread quickly. Guards sharpened their weapons. Hunters were promised. Gold and spies watched the broken house day and night. Inside the house, the man felt the storm coming. His instincts were sharp. He could sense danger in the air like the smell of smoke before a fire. He sat by the window gripping a stolen blade, his eyes scanning the street. The alien sat nearby, her glowing eyes dim but steady. She whispered. They prepare to strike. The man turned. How do you know? She looked into the distance, her voice calm. I feel it. The blood in me remembers. Danger calls to danger. The man cursed under his breath. Then we must leave. This house is no longer safe. But the alien shook her head. There is nowhere to run. They control the gates. They control the skies. If we flee, they will hunt us down like animals. The man clenched his fists, his voice low but fierce. Then we fight. We fight together. The alien studied him, her lips trembling. With something unspoken, you would fight for me? He looked at her scars, her glowing eyes, her strange beauty hidden beneath her stench, and he said firmly, I would fight because they want us broken. But I am not broken. Not anymore. The alien's eyes burned brighter. For the first time, she smiled, not bitter. Not sad, but real. That night, as the moon rose, the colony shook with noise. Hundreds gathered near the broken house, led by guards and hunters, torches in their hands, weapons in their fists. The rulers stood above, watching. From their high balcony, the leader raised his arm and shouted, Tonight the curse ends. Tonight the traitor and his alien wife die. The crowd roared. Inside the house, the man tightened the straps of his broken armor, his hands steady, his heart beating like a drum. The alien stood beside him, her body glowing faintly, her scars shining like silver lines. She whispered, This is not just your fight. This is our fight. The door shattered under the first blow. Flames rushed in, voices screamed. The man charged forward, his blade cutting through the first attacker, blood spraying across the floor. The alien raised her hands, her power bursting, like a wave, pushing enemies back into the street, their bodies slamming against walls. The crowd gasped in fear. "She is a witch," someone screamed. "She is death," another shouted. But still they came, wave after wave, driven by orders. And hate? The man fought like a storm. Every strike fueled by rage and defiance, he shouted over the chaos. "You will not take her. You will not take us." The alien's glowing eyes blazed like fire, her voice echoing through the night. "You fear me, but you cannot kill me." The EAD rulers watched in shock. Their punishment had turned into rebellion. What was meant to be humiliation had become defiance. The crowd, once laughing, now trembled as they watched a man and an alien fight side by side. Blood stained the streets, torches fell, screams filled the air. The battle raged until dawn. When the sun finally rose, the house was in ruins, the streets burned, and bodies lay scattered, but the man still stood, his blade red, his chest heaving, and the alien stood beside him, glowing softly, her hands trembling but her eyes fierce. The rulers had failed. Their punishment had not destroyed him. It had forged him. The man shouted to the crowd, his voice breaking the silence. "They tried to kill us, but we live. They tried to shame us, but we fight. Remember this day. Remember we are not broken." The crowd was silent, fear and awe mixing in their hearts. The rulers stepped back, their plans slipping from their hands like sand. War had broken out, and it was only the beginning. The colony lay in silence after the night of fire. Smoke rose from broken homes. The smell of blood and ash filled the air. People whispered in the streets, their eyes wide with fear and wonder. They had seen something they could not forget. A punished soldier and a stinking alien wife had stood against an army, and they had survived. The rulers sat in their high towers, their faces pale behind their masks. Their punishment had failed. Their power had been questioned, and they knew the people had seen too much. Inside the ruined house, the man sat against the wall, his chest still bleeding, his hands shaking from exhaustion. The alien wife knelt beside him, her glowing eyes dim but steady. She pressed her hands to his wounds, warmth spreading through his body as the cuts closed. The blood stopped. The pain faded. The man looked at her, his voice rough. "You saved me again." The alien lowered her head, her voice soft. "You saved me first." They sat together in silence, surrounded by ruin yet alive. The man whispered, "We cannot stay here. They will strike again next time with more soldiers, more fire." The alien nodded slowly. "Then we must leave. We must find a place they cannot reach." But the man frowned. "There is no place. Beyond their reach, the colony gates are locked. The skies belong to them." The alien's eyes glowed brighter. "Not all skies, not all worlds. I know a path, a place hidden, far beyond their towers." The man stared at her, his heart pounding. "You know a way out?" She nodded. "Yes, but it is dangerous. Only blood like mine can open the way, but now your fate is tied to mine. You can pass too." The man clenched his fists, his soldier's heart burning. "Then we go. Better to die free than rot as their slaves." That night they slipped into the shadows, moving through ruined streets, avoiding the guards. Whispers followed them. People peeking from broken windows, some cursed them, others prayed for them, but no one stopped them. At the edge of the colony, beyond the gates, the alien pressed her glowing hands to the ground. The earth trembled. A hidden path opened. Light, spilling from the cracks, the man's eyes widened. "What is this?" The alien whispered. "The memory of my people. The road they left behind, a road to freedom." Together they stepped into the light, the gates sealing behind them, cutting off the colony forever. The path carried them through a sea of stars, a silent bridge of light stretching across the void. The man looked around in awe. "I thought I knew the skies, but I knew nothing." The alien smiled faintly. "Now you see as I once saw." After hours, maybe days, they emerged on a hidden world, a planet covered in green forests, rivers shining like silver, skies painted with two suns. The man breathed deeply, the air fresh and clean, nothing like the dust of the colony. For the first time since his punishment began, he felt free. The alien looked around, her glowing eyes softer, her scars shining like marks of honor. she whispered. This was once ours. Now it can be ours again. Think. Man turned to her, his voice steady. Then we will build here together. Time passed. The man and the alien worked side by side, building shelter, hunting, planting, living. The bond between them grew stronger each day. The man no longer saw her as punishment, no longer saw her as slave. He saw her as partner, as survivor, as wife. Her stench no longer mattered. Her scars no longer frightened him. He saw beauty in her strength, peace in her eyes, hope in her touch. One evening, as the twin suns set across the horizon, the man stood. Beside her, watching the sky burn gold, he whispered, When they punished me, I thought my life was over. I thought they had destroyed me, but they gave me you. And with you, I found more than I ever had before. The alien turned to him, her glowing eyes shining with something gentle, something human. She whispered, They thought they cursed you, but we are blessed. The man smiled, the first true smile in years. Yes, blessed. Together they stood, survivors of cruelty, creators of a new life. The colony was far behind them, the rulers powerless, their chains broken, and in the silence of their hidden world, the soldier and the alien slave, once bound by punishment, were now bound by choice, happier than ever.